The Middle East, a cauldron of ancient history, simmering conflicts, and vast energy reserves. For centuries, great powers have clashed here, their ambitions intertwined with the region's fate. Today, a new game is afoot, with Russia stepping onto the board with renewed purpose. Its chosen ally, the Islamic Republic of Iran, a nation long isolated, now a linchpin in Moscow's strategic calculus. This partnership, forged in the crucible of shared interests and mutual suspicion of the West, is reshaping the geopolitical landscape. It's a complex dance, with Russia seeking to expand its influence, challenge American dominance, and secure valuable economic opportunities. Iran, for its part, seeks relief from sanctions, regional clout, and a counterweight to its own perceived enemies. But this alliance is not without its contradictions. Russia must navigate the treacherous waters of Middle Eastern rivalries, balancing its ties with Iran against its relationships with other key players like Saudi Arabia and Israel. The stakes are high, with the potential to reshape alliances, ignite conflicts, and redraw the map of power in one of the world's most volatile regions. Russia's resurgence on the world stage under Vladimir Putin is undeniable. No longer content to be a passive observer, Moscow seeks to reclaim its status as a global power, and the Middle East, with its strategic importance, presents a tempting chessboard. First and foremost, Russia aims to expand its sphere of influence. The Middle East, long seen as America's backyard, is now a battleground for influence, with Russia seeking to chip away at U.S. dominance. By aligning with Iran, Moscow gains a foothold in a region crucial to American interests, projecting its power far beyond its borders. Second, Russia sees economic opportunity in the Middle East. Iran, despite sanctions, boasts vast energy reserves, particularly oil and natural gas, resources that Russia is eager to tap into. By forging economic partnerships, Moscow can diversify its energy portfolio and reduce its reliance on Western markets. Finally, Russia's Middle East policy is driven by a desire to challenge the West, particularly the United States. The legacy of the Cold War still casts a long shadow, and Moscow sees an opportunity to undermine American hegemony by supporting those who defy Washington's dictates. The Russo-Iranian partnership is built on a foundation of shared interests, but it's the tangible expressions of cooperation, particularly in the military and economic spheres, that give this alliance its teeth. Militarily, Russia has become a key arms supplier to Iran, providing advanced weaponry like the S-300 missile defense system. This has bolstered Iran's defensive capabilities but also raised concerns among regional rivals and Western powers wary of an arms race. Beyond arms sales, Russia and Iran have engaged in joint military exercises, showcasing their growing cooperation and sending a message of strength and resolve to their adversaries. The Syrian conflict, where both countries have backed the Assad regime, has provided a testing ground for military coordination, further cementing their partnership. Economically, Russia sees Iran as a lucrative market for its goods and services, particularly in the energy sector. Russian companies have invested billions in Iran's oil and gas fields, securing access to valuable resources and strengthening economic ties between the two nations. This burgeoning economic relationship extends beyond energy. Russia has become a major trading partner for Iran, providing a lifeline in the face of Western sanctions. This economic cooperation serves both countries' interests, allowing Russia to expand its influence and Iran to circumvent international pressure. Russia's foray into the Middle East is not without its complexities. The region is a tapestry of interwoven rivalries and shifting alliances, forcing Moscow to tread carefully as it seeks to advance its interests without alienating potential partners. The most delicate balancing act involves Russia's relationship with Iran's arch-rival Saudi Arabia. The Saudis, a key U.S. ally and a major player in the global oil market, view Iran's growing influence with suspicion. Russia, eager to maintain its ties with both countries, has walked a diplomatic tightrope, engaging in dialogue with both sides and attempting to play the role of mediator in regional disputes. However, the deep-seated animosity between Iran and Saudi Arabia makes this a precarious balancing act, with the potential for miscalculation always looming. Beyond Saudi Arabia, Russia must also consider its relationship with Israel, another key U.S. ally in the region. While Moscow and Tel Aviv have maintained pragmatic ties, Russia's close relationship with Iran, which Israel views as an existential threat, introduces an element of tension. Russia's Middle Eastern ambitions are constrained by the complex web of relationships that defines the region. Saudi Arabia and Israel, both wary of Iran's growing power, present unique challenges to Russia's balancing act. Saudi Arabia, the custodian of Islam's holiest sites and a leading voice in the Arab world, views Iran's revolutionary Shiite ideology with deep suspicion. The two regional powers have long been locked in a struggle for regional dominance, vying for influence in countries like Yemen, Syria, and Lebanon. Russia, eager to cultivate ties with the oil-rich kingdom, has attempted to position itself as a mediator between Riyadh and Tehran. However, the deep mistrust between the two rivals makes this a formidable task, and Russia's close relationship with Iran inevitably raises eyebrows in Riyadh. Israel, on the other hand, views Iran as an existential threat, citing Tehran's nuclear ambitions and support for militant groups like Hezbollah. Russia's military cooperation with Iran, particularly the supply of advanced weaponry, has raised concerns in Jerusalem. Despite these tensions, Russia has maintained pragmatic ties with Israel, recognizing the Jewish state's strategic importance and its close relationship with the United States. However, the limits of this cooperation are evident in Russia's unwillingness to jeopardize its alliance with Iran to appease Israel's security concerns. The Middle East, with its vast reserves of oil and natural gas, has long been the world's energy heartland. Russia, a leading energy producer in its own right, recognizes the strategic importance of this region and seeks to leverage its energy clout for geopolitical gain. Iran, despite years of sanctions, remains an energy powerhouse, boasting the world's fourth largest proven oil reserves and the second largest natural gas reserves. Russia, eager to diversify its energy portfolio and reduce its dependence on Western markets, sees Iran as a valuable partner. Russian energy giants like Gazprom and Rosneft have invested billions of dollars in Iran's oil and gas fields, securing access to these valuable resources and strengthening economic ties between the two countries. These investments not only benefit Russia economically, but also bolster Iran's sanctions-hit economy, further cementing the alliance. Beyond direct investments, Russia and Iran have cooperated on energy infrastructure projects, including pipelines and refineries. These projects aim to increase energy exports from the region, strengthening both countries' positions in the global energy market. The Syrian civil war, a brutal conflict that has ravaged the country for over a decade, has served as both a testing ground and a source of tension for the Russo-Iranian alliance. Both countries have provided crucial support to the regime of Bashar al-Assad, with Russia launching airstrikes against rebel groups and Iran supplying ground troops and financial aid. This shared intervention has been instrumental in propping up the Assad regime and preventing its collapse. However, the Syrian conflict has also exposed the limits of Russo-Iranian cooperation. The two countries have different objectives in Syria, with Russia primarily focused on preserving its strategic interests, and Iran seeking to maintain a land bridge to its Hezbollah allies in Lebanon. These diverging goals have led to friction on the ground, with Russian and Iranian forces occasionally coming into conflict. The presence of other actors in Syria, including Turkey, the United States, and various regional powers, further complicates the situation, creating a complex and volatile battlefield. Beyond the headlines, cultural and diplomatic threads in the relationship. While the military and economic dimensions of the Russo-Iranian partnership dominate headlines, the relationship extends beyond these realms, encompassing cultural exchanges, diplomatic overtures, and a shared skepticism of Western influence. Culturally, Russia and Iran have sought to foster closer ties, with cultural delegations, art exhibitions, and academic collaborations becoming increasingly common. These initiatives aim to promote understanding and bridge the cultural divide between the two nations. Diplomatically, Russia has emerged as a staunch defender of Iran on the international stage. Moscow has consistently opposed Western sanctions against Iran and has called for a negotiated solution to the Iranian nuclear issue. This diplomatic support has been crucial for Iran, providing it with a powerful voice at the United Nations Security Council and other international forums. Russia's willingness to stand up for Iran in the face of Western pressure has further strengthened the bond between the two countries. The view from Washington: unease and uncertainty in the face of alignment. The burgeoning alliance between Russia and Iran has not gone unnoticed in Washington. where it has been met with a mixture of unease and uncertainty. The United States, long accustomed to being the dominant power in the Middle East, now faces a more complex geopolitical landscape. The Trump administration's decision to withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal and impose crippling sanctions on Tehran has backfired, pushing Iran closer to Russia and strengthening their partnership. The Biden administration, while seeking to revive the nuclear deal, remains wary of Iran's regional ambitions and its ties to Russia. Russia's growing influence in the Middle East, coupled with its military presence in Syria, challenges U.S. interests in the region. Washington fears that Moscow's support for Iran could embolden Tehran to pursue a more assertive foreign policy, potentially destabilizing the region and threatening U.S. allies. As Russia and Iran deepen their partnership, another major power is making its presence felt in the Middle East: China. Beijing's growing economic clout and its thirst for energy resources have led to a surge in Chinese investment in the region. China has adopted a more pragmatic approach to the Middle East, engaging with all sides including Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Israel. This approach has allowed China to secure valuable energy deals and expand its economic footprint without getting bogged down in the region's political quagmires. China's growing role in the Middle East has the potential to reshape regional dynamics. Beijing's economic might could provide Iran with an alternative to Western markets, further reducing the effectiveness of U.S. sanctions. The convergence of Russian, Iranian, and Chinese interests in the Middle East has created a complex and evolving geopolitical landscape. The United States, once the dominant power in the region, now faces a more multipolar world where its influence is challenged by a growing array of actors. Russia's strategic pivot towards the Middle East, particularly its alliance with Iran, has sent ripples across the region and beyond. As the game unfolds, it's worth assessing the potential winners and losers in this high-stakes geopolitical chess match. For Russia, the alliance with Iran offers several potential benefits. It allows Moscow to project power far beyond its borders, challenging U.S. influence in a strategically vital region. It provides access to Iran's vast energy resources, bolstering Russia's position in the global energy market. And it offers a platform to advance Russia's geopolitical agenda, countering Western pressure and promoting a multipolar world order. Iran, too, stands to gain from the partnership. Russia's military support enhances Iran's defensive capabilities and deters potential adversaries. Russian investments provide a lifeline for Iran's sanctions-hit economy, and Russia's diplomatic backing on the international stage helps Iran resist Western pressure and advance its regional agenda. However, the alliance is not without its risks. Russia's close ties with Iran could alienate key regional players like Saudi Arabia and Israel, potentially jeopardizing other strategic relationships. The alliance could also entangle Russia in the Middle East's complex web of conflicts, exposing it to unforeseen risks and unintended consequences. The evolving dynamics in the Middle East, particularly the strengthening of the Russo-Iranian axis, have profound implications for global security. As great powers jostle for influence in this volatile region, the potential for miscalculation and escalation remains a constant concern. The risk of a direct military confrontation between the United States and Russia, while still remote, cannot be entirely discounted. The presence of Russian and American forces in close proximity in Syria, coupled with heightened tensions over Ukraine and other geopolitical flashpoints, creates a volatile mix. Beyond the risk of direct conflict, the escalating rivalry between great powers in the Middle East could fuel regional instability. The proliferation of advanced weaponry, the resurgence of proxy wars, and the erosion of international norms all contribute to a more dangerous and unpredictable security environment. Moreover, the growing influence of non-state actors, including terrorist groups and sectarian militias, further complicates the security landscape. These groups often exploit power vacuums and exploit regional rivalries to advance their own agendas, posing a persistent threat to regional and international stability. The confluence of these factors highlights the urgent need for dialogue, diplomacy, and a renewed commitment to international cooperation. The stakes are simply too high to allow the Middle East to become a battleground for great power competition, where miscalculation and escalation could have catastrophic consequences. The Middle East stands at a crossroads, its future uncertain as great powers maneuver for influence, regional players pursue their own ambitions, and the forces of change reshape the geopolitical landscape. The Russo-Iranian alliance, once a fringe element in regional dynamics, has emerged as a significant factor, challenging the established order and creating new opportunities and uncertainties. How this alliance evolves and how other key players respond will shape the trajectory of the Middle East for years to come. The United States, facing a more multipolar world, must recalibrate its approach to the region, recognizing the limits of its power and the need for diplomacy and engagement. Russia, emboldened by its successes, must weigh the risks and rewards of its Middle Eastern gambit, balancing its ambitions against the potential for blowback. The Middle East's future hinges on the choices made by its leaders, both internal and external. The path ahead is fraught with challenges, but it also offers opportunities for cooperation, conflict resolution, and a more stable and prosperous future. The unfolding game is far from over, and its outcome remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: the stakes have never been higher.